Hello everybody, and let's continue with whatever we left last time. And this is the 7th video I'm making, okay? And the last time we talked about instances, the different sorts and several features about instances. We talked about the two worlds, the macro world, the micro world, and the relationship, the four relationships. But we didn't finish, so I'm going to continue with this topic till it's get done, okay? Remember this picture I mentioned? This one, okay? If you can see it clearly. And we divided it into the two parts for the relative side. One is the macro world, one is the micro world. The basic rules for each is in the macro world, the matter, whatever is a matter moves. Okay? For the micro world, is a movement forms a matter. That's a basic rule. Okay? Each one for different world. Okay. I mentioned that the relationships for micro world. One is called double R, relatively relative, okay? The other one is called AR, that means absolutely relative, all right? It points to two kinds of matters. One is called matter, the other called prior matter. All right? Prior matter, remember, is something that you cannot feel it directly with your senses or with the equipment using scientific means. Okay? Here, relatively relative means something we can fully grasp. It's a target of natural science since Newton's time till now. All right, I think now even in the contemporary cosmology, the dark matter, the M theory, the superstring things are all related still to this RR thing because they think they can detect it one day. If you think that way, it belongs to relatively relative. All right? If you go purely by mathematics, you purely go by prediction to prove it. By forecast, that is prime matter. All right? The division is here. Okay. So what's the other two relationships? That's next I'm going to say. The other two relationships, one is called, well, you guess it. It cannot be more than these two words. Either R or A. Where can you go? So by combination, the sequence in math, we have that method. How many combinations can you have? 4, right? Either 1, 2, or 2, 1, or 1, 2, 1, or 1, 2, or something like that. Actually, I use 0, 1, probably is even better. Okay, so the other one is called RA. Okay, you guess it. It's relatively absolute. Relatively absolute. So the relatively is adverb. Relative is what it modifies by the adverb. So the basic nature of a macro world is absolute. But it's relatively absolute. Why it's like that? Because it is something or potentially to be something. It is becoming something. So that's the idea, or it's 在, this idea. It's emerging into some being from its potentiality, if you like. So that's the idea. So this micro world has only one relationship. It's called relatively absolute. And what it means here, you probably realize right away. Anything absolute means much, much more stable, much, much more, sort of last longer or something. But anyway, the idea is it's absolute, but it's still relative. So that's a word to modify absolute. But this is absolute already. This part can only be detected by mathematics and logic. Only 2 dimensions will work here. No other way to know this part. This part includes everything from thoughts, 实在, this square, this one of course, potentiality, anything hidden, not coming out yet, not yet being. It's in the process of becoming a being. And this part is being. Alright? This is already become being. Alright? This determined being belongs to this part. I should say this way. And this one belongs here. This one belongs here. This one being, I think it should go all the way here. It should go like that. So this is the idea. Relatively relative. Oh, relatively absolute. Okay, that's the idea. Alright. After this, you'll notice we're missing one. We are missing one. What it is? We missed the absolute itself. So it's here. The 5th category. Alright? That's in Chinese. That's English. Absolute. 绝对. Alright? Okay. So, what it means from this part, the combination, you'll notice that, right? Instantly, we need we need A, double A, but it's not a battery. It's called absolutely absolute. This is something I'm a little proud of myself. You may say, what a big deal. Well, some people mentioned absolute before, like a Hegel or Schelling or whoever in the God absolute. But in the philosophical sense, in the definition of the word, when Hegel says absolute, he means absolute concept or absolute ideas, right? What he has in his mind is idea. And that comes, by the way, from Parmenides. How many people mention that? Even not Bertrand Russell. I read his whole book of the history of Western philosophy. He doesn't understand this. He said Hegel is difficult, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't understand what's Hegel's point. The Hegel's point is concept or spirit. It moves, it does its traveling, then comes back homebound. That's a mind, eventually. That's landed. It's from Parmenides. You think Hegel made it its own by himself? No. Of course, Bertrand Russell doesn't understand this. Nor does Wittgenstein, I'm sure. That's why Hegel said, when he died in his deathbed, nobody, only one person understands me, but he misunderstood. He misinterpreted my meaning wrongly. That's why. A lot of people think about Hegel's idea is just the triangle thing, the 3 steps, positive, negative combination of it. That's it. That's Hegel. Wrong. That's a very superficial knowledge. As Hegel said, familiarity doesn't mean true knowledge. That's why Hegel is difficult. If you understand thoughts are the world, as Parmenides says, you understand Hegel. If you don't get this part, you'll never understand Hegel. Of course, he made up some always go positive negative thing combination. That's his fancy. So we can forgive him for that. He says that's everything in the world. It acts like that. That's nonsense. That's wrong. Maybe a very minute percentage of things in the world are like that, but it's not. Majority case, it's not. Well, that's off the topic a little bit. I just mentioned this. But the significance of this part is something. Well, maybe nothing, I don't know. It's up to you. What is this part is very, very important. This part doesn't come from nothing, doesn't come from something. It comes from the studying of my head, the thoughts. In other words, my thinking thinks about my thoughts. That's how I had the paradox of thinking / consciousness. Only when I overcome that part, I got this one. But this one first applied to the small absolute. That's a logical part of thinking, that part. But from that, I digged into the absolute. This is a long story. I can expand for maybe several days if I want to, but I just gave you a brief, short trip, how I get this one. All right? Remember when Kant discovered the formulation, the categories in the mind, he said, it's Copernicus' revolution in epistemology. Well, if Kant can say that, I can say the way I went through about so-called ontology, it's a Copernicus revolution in ontological studies in philosophy. Think about that. All right? So this part is basically saying the absolute, the AA part, absolutely absolute. It's important The importance is you can think about that the way I went through. Every day before you wake up, do you know you will wake up? You don't know that, right? But you are sure you have that moment. The moment of your dream is the ending. What's the function of dream? Well, let me guess. It's a clearing up things, like a computer, garbage collection. The function of that. It filters everything you had the previous day. Some put into memory, store it into storage, and let you keep it forever. Something you just forget, filtered out. That's a basic function of your memory. That computer, as I said. Okay, at the breaking point in your dream, you didn't wake up. What do you have? What does your mind have? Nothing, right? You have a blank mind. Well, figuratively, think about that as the AA, the double A. Think about that as that. So, when you wake up, the first thing coming into your mind, the first either feeling or thought or whatever coming into your mind, even it doesn't matter you feel it or not, but you are sure there is something come to your mind first, then you feel it, right? Is that okay? Okay, you can go this way. But anyway, the logic is something starting to arise in your mind, in your head. That's something. A little bubble, maybe like this. Boom, 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 go up. And one by one, and more and more. Is that the process of our brain when you wake up? I believe so. Unless you give me a different reason. You don't have a mother thoughts to dig into, to dig out the thoughts every day, do you? If you have one, I'll question, where does the mother thoughts come from? Then we go on forever. So eventually you don't have anything, anywhere to go, to turn to. You have to come back. Say no, you don't have it. You produce, your brain in the morning produce absolutely new things. And then let them die every day. That's for sure. So that is the idea. What your brain does each day is absolutely does each time. The absolute produce the crucial point. That point is for Big Bang, explosion. We have, from that point, we have time, we have space, we have the universe, everything. Eventually, the universe goes back to its original because of the entropy thing, because of the condensation, the whatever, the lasted its lifelong duration or whatever. One day it will die. Then everything comes to a point again, a restart again. So that's a basic idea, how to understand the absolute. Okay, I hope you can have a sense of what I said, and that you will think about this. And next time we'll talk more about what other features the instance, the two worlds have. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.